Have you ever felt like giving up on your drawing or your painting or whatever creative endeavour really that you're doing? If you never have, congratulations. But for most of us, it's a part of the journey. Let me outline what I believe are fundamentally the three main reasons why we may end up feeling that we want to give up. But for each of these, I believe there is a way ahead, and certainly ways ahead that have helped me get my thinking, my headspace, my enjoyment of my art back on track. The first reason is certainly one that I felt, and that's where for some reason suddenly I'm not satisfied with what I'm doing. I'm frustrated. I feel that it's just not working. It's not getting me where I want to go. I'm not getting from it what I was thinking I would get from it, and probably what I was once getting from it. The key thing in all of this is to understand, why am I frustrated? What's not happening? What am I not getting? It's easy to get swept up in the frustration, but not actually sit down and work out exactly why am I feeling this way? What's not working for me? Because frustration is a sure sign that something I'm wanting to happen isn't happening. So what is it? I may never have actually put it into words at the start, which makes it very difficult for me to deal with when there are problems with it. Because the truth is, we all start any activity for a reason, and sometimes the reason's very clear. So why did I start drawing? And even if I started simply because I thought I was quite good at it, I didn't actually start because I was good at it. I started for other reasons, perhaps to have the satisfaction of producing nice looking drawings. Perhaps I saw drawings of other people and thought, wow, it must feel so great to be able to do that. I'd like to feel great. It may be that I saw people earning money from their art, and I thought, hey, this is a good way I can earn money, or perhaps earn some extra money on the side. And what I see them doing to earn that money seems like something I feel I could do myself. Or possibly I see people doing well in their social media, where their art, their drawing, their painting, their music, whatever, is their main connection with their audience. And I'm thinking, I would like to have a boosted social media presence, so why not develop art, develop drawing, say, as a way of doing that? And whether we've thought these reasons or other reasons out or not, we still have them. And when I feel like giving up, that's a sure sign that I've not been achieving those goals, whether I've actually known what they were or not. And of course, we don't need to stay with the same aim, with the same goal for our drawing. I may have started simply because it was fun, but at some point, my main reason for doing it shifted to another area, another reason. Maybe someone bought a drawing off me and it alerted me to the fact that I could make money, and slowly over time, I start to shift why I'm drawing, what I'm drawing, how I'm drawing, and I'm no longer making choices for fun, but I'm making choices about what I think will sell. But maybe they don't sell. So while I started with drawing for fun, and it was fun, when I shifted to a different purpose to make money and discovered I couldn't make the money I thought in the way I thought I could, now I'm being frustrated. What do I do about that? Well, once I'm aware of what's happening, I can sit back from doing anything and work out, well, how did my purpose change for my drawing? And for where I'm at right now, do I want to stay with this new purpose that's frustrating me because it's not working? Do I want to go back to just drawing for fun, or something else more likely to deliver the satisfaction that we really do need for anything we do that we're not being forced to do? The second reason is that they're simply not improving. They've learnt enough to see the weaknesses of their drawings, but somehow they haven't learnt enough or be able to develop the ability to push through those weaknesses and to start to produce the art that they now have in their mind as being possible. And I think for all of us, when we learn a skill, certainly a skill such as drawing or painting, improving is part of what we anticipate will happen. It's an integral part of how we see the journey, that we start where we start, but we dream of where we will finish in terms of our abilities. We look at the artists who inspire us, who maybe have inspired us to take our playing around with drawing further and to be serious about it, we see where they've got and we dream of getting there. And we don't expect to get there overnight, but we would like to see that we start progressing in some way. But when I look back at the drawings I've done over the last 3, 4, 5 years, you couldn't tell which ones I did yesterday and which ones I did on the first day of my drawing. Now that can be really discouraging. And we probably have enough things in life that discourage us that we can't control without continuing to be discouraged by something that we could just stop doing. If this is you, let me encourage you with this. If I'm not improving in my drawing, it's not because I can't improve. It's because I haven't found the way to, if you like, stimulate my improvement, to provide the framework where improvement's going to happen. And invariably, it's because I'm doing the same thing the same way over and over again, and I'm trying harder all the time. But trying harder doesn't in itself improve. Sometimes we need to work differently. Sometimes a better way is actually an easier way. But if we keep doing what we've always done, probably nothing will change for the same reason it hasn't changed up till now. Some people fall into a way of thinking and of doing their art that makes improvement just flow, not because they've thought it out well, but by chance they've happened to adopt habits or practices that encourage that fast-track improvement. But that doesn't necessarily happen. And if this is you, I would say the first thing to do is to go back to easier subjects. Because one of the characteristics of people not improving is that they've gone too far. There are too many elements of drawing that they're not able to do well enough and to focus on any one or to see any one. And the overall effect of numerous weak areas, weak techniques in the one drawing can be very discouraging when they always seem to be present. And if this is your experience, I would suggest simpler subjects that are done on a smaller scale in less time, working on one or two key things in each drawing that you work on specifically. It may be I just work on getting the proportions of my objects correct so that they don't look distorted. It may be that I actually don't finish the drawing. I just spend 10 minutes blocking out the proportions, and I do that over and over and over again until very rapidly, therefore, I work out a better way of seeing and of progressing my drawing on the paper with whatever I'm using. And when I do start to get these things right, I progress not too fast. I don't let my enthusiasm sweep me away. It's easy to get bogged down in detail and to try and draw everything thinking that this is going to make my drawing look more professional, when in fact what I need to do is to draw in a quarter the time, draw the same scene in a quarter the time, and develop a nice, quick, brisk, gestural way of drawing and put some animation, put some life, put some movement into my lines on the paper. And if it hasn't turned out, well, I've got plenty of time, because I didn't spend too long on it, to redo it a second or a third time, building on what I'm unhappy with in my first or earlier drawings, and moving closer with each one to whatever I had in my mind I was hoping to achieve in the first place. And if I've been watching certain YouTube drawing channels and I haven't been improving, that's probably a good indication that they're simply not the right channels for me. The way the drawing's being taught, what's being taught, the processes, the understanding behind them is not something that's connecting with my thinking, my understanding, my process. And therefore, I probably should try and find some new input, because if the input I've been receiving hasn't helped after a certain period of time, it's not likely to. I might enjoy the videos, I might find them entertaining and fun and motivating to draw, but if they're not actually helping how my drawing looks, then they're not addressing for me the issues that need to be addressed in my drawing process for my drawing improvement. My third reason, I think, is the big hidden one, the unseen reason why we give up on drawing. And that's the insidious nature of perfectionism, where the need to get things looking good, looking right, becomes stronger and stronger as we draw. And ironically, it can become stronger as we improve, that at the start possibly we don't see that much pressure because we're just starting, we're just learning. But as we start to draw better, whatever we understand that to mean, the need to get it right becomes stronger and stronger. And I can't cope with it not looking right. And I start to feel more stressed, more pressure. Sometimes I find it hard to sit down and start a drawing because I'm worried about ruining it before I've even started. Or by the time I sit down with my reference, I think, oh, that's probably too hard. I may not be able to do that. And so we don't try. Because in our mind, we have to have this perfect finished artwork at the end of the drawing, or else for some reason, we're going to feel condemned by looking at something that's not right. In a healthy drawing mindset development practice, we should be less and less concerned about errors, partly because as we improve, we make errors. We put lines and marks in places we don't want them to be less and less because we start to get on top of what we're doing. And if we're progressing and not pushing ourselves too fast, too hard, then we should see this improvement. So because more lines and marks end up in the right places more quickly, we're less and less focused on mistakes. But when perfectionism starts to take root, ironically, as we improve in our drawing, the need to make it even more perfect becomes stronger and stronger. And I become more preoccupied and more stressed over things not being in the right place. And I start to use my eraser more and more. I actually become more and more inhibited in my drawing instead of freer and freer. Or it could show itself in I get halfway through a drawing and maybe I haven't made any mistakes, but the stress that I might now ruin it becomes so great that I don't want to put another mark on the paper and I finish up with a lot of half-finished drawings. Or it might mean that at the start, if a line's not perfect, I give up on the drawing. Now, this may not be you at all, but if it is, it can be incredibly debilitating and rob all of the enjoyment, all the fun, all the joy out of the drawing experience. And dealing with this has certainly been part of my drawing experience over the last number of years. And I addressed it in a very simple way. Having worked out what was happening, I decided to crash tackle my perfectionism and bring it to the ground in one swift blow. And I decided to not just stop drawing in pencil, but to start drawing in pen, but to only draw in pen, directly in pen. I would use no pencil. There would be no chance of erasing lines. I would have to learn to draw in a way that I could create marks and position what I was doing on the paper so that every mark, every line could happily be part of the drawing at the end. And I also had to learn how to deal with lines and marks that weren't exactly where I wanted them to be. And when I say I had to learn to deal with it, I mean first I had to learn to deal with that in my head at the time, not to go, it's ruined. But instead to think, okay, well, I can work that into something else later on. And what I learnt, therefore, by persevering was that actually 99% of the time I can work it into something else in the drawing, or it's actually not noticeable at the end when the whole drawing is there and the attention is going into lots of different places, not just this one spot. By choosing I would never use an eraser in my drawings, or not at this stage in my drawing life, I made it impossible for perfectionism to breathe because it needed the ability to keep, if you like, taking my drawings backwards, till I was erasing more than I was actually putting on the paper. Instead, because I could only go forward with the pen, I began to experience, to learn, to see, to understand, and to develop the rhythm, the tempo of a drawing. Because I wasn't always being pulled off balance by trying to fix something. I had to keep pushing forward. And there is a rhythm, there is a tempo in our drawing that develops when we keep going forward. And so now I've replaced the thinking of, I've spoilt it, or I'm going to spoil it, with, nah, that'll be okay by the end. But if not, it doesn't matter. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. If you've been struggling with your drawing, with your art in some way, and have been feeling that you're wanting to give it up because for some reason it's not working for you the way perhaps it did in the past, I hope these 3 thoughts, these 3 possibilities as to why you're feeling this way, And the suggested ways ahead that I've given might just help you stay on course if that's something that you do really deep down still want to do. And this is why I say, whatever you draw, however you draw it, for whatever purpose you draw it, make sure you have fun. Because if we have fun, then we've won whatever else is happening. I'll see you next video. Bye.